just like Aesthetically Speaking. Start now.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Andrew Liscio, and you are listening to or watching Aesthetically Speaking. If you have ever wondered what you should really be doing for your skin in the summer, besides panic buying SPF at CVS, today's episode is for you. So joining me today is somebody who doesn't just treat sun-exposed skin, she walks the walk too. Not only does she have a master's degree in physician assistant studies, she's been in this industry for 20 years in dermatology at the same clinic, which is unheard of, the Skin Wellness Center in Knoxville, Tennessee. This woman also finds time to own her own farm, which I've had the pleasure of visiting myself, and feed her cows. Please welcome dermatology physician's assistant, Janet McLanahan. Yay!
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So happy to have you. I'm so excited. But yeah, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you, especially for this episode, is because one, you see it every day in the office as far as treating people with skin cancer, preventing it, obviously, but also you're outside every single day and your skin's amazing. So there are ways to actually do it. So you know what it's like to work with UV rays and unruly chickens. You know,
Yep.
how it goes.
Absolutely. They go hand in hand.
Right. But I did want to go over a question that we had from our last episode, which was energy-based treatments versus injectables. Somebody had written in and basically they were a little confused on, I said something that said revolumization with energy-based devices. And then they said, and me and Miranda had talked about maybe using less filler or less Botox after doing that energy-based device. So the way I kind of describe it to people, which can be a little bit controversial, like revolumization without the use of filler, because we're putting energy into the face and kind of revolumizing the dermis and thickening up that dermis a little bit, depending on certain energy treatments that we're doing. Now, what do you think to that respect? Like, what types of treatments are we talking about?
I have seen great revolumization with energy-based devices with radiofrequency and microneedling, and with radiofrequency microneedling coupled with a sublative resurfacing laser.
Mhm.
So it takes a little time. It's not instant. So, we obviously have to heal from those. But during consultations, if they come in and talk about filler, but want to know what do you recommend? Is there something else? If I can get them to do a RF microneedling and resurfacing treatment or a series of those treatments before we do filler, ultimately we end up using less filler and it looks more natural.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I agree. The way that people kind of, when I explain it to people, I usually say, because we're talking about skin tightening and stuff like that. And like our RF microneedling, our ultrasound, stuff like that does not, in my opinion, truly quote unquote tighten the skin. It's revolumizing that skin. Yes, you're stimulating collagen and elastin, so it makes for smoother, tighter, firmer looking skin. But we're essentially, as we age, our dermis gets thinner. We're kind of plumping up and beefing up that dermis a little bit more. Now, when I do my treatments, I tend to look at the energy as a whole and how much energy am I putting into the face. And that's why I like certain devices over some of the other ones. Like, for example, RF microneedling, we do have like Morpheus 8 at my office. I will say Morpheus 8 is not one of my favorites. I do like a Genius better from Lutronic or
Same.
Cynosure Lutronic now.
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact that I am actually able to see what I'm delivering as a whole. So I kind of think of it as an energy goal, a goal to get to at the end versus the number of pulses. Like, I don't really care about the number of
Yeah.
pulses that I'm giving. I want to know what I'm delivering and where I'm delivering it. So I always tell people, when you're doing a treatment, I want you to map out a face. And I tell them, get a piece of paper and split it up into 6 boxes. And then we have forehead, left, right, mid face, left, right, low face, left, right. And then if you're going to do the neck, obviously you can do another set and do left, right with them. And I'll say, okay, well, based upon where the problem is, put in that energy and decide how much you want to do. So maybe we'll do 250 joules, 250 joules, 250 joules, 250 joules. So if you kind of plan it out that way, you can say, what is it that I know that I want to put in? And as you treat, if you can do that with 100 pulses here versus 50 or multiple passes, things like that, for the most part, I don't think that you need multiple passes when you're doing RF microneedling if you can deliver the amount of energy that you're trying to deliver.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And
Good.
no, I totally agree. And that is the nice thing about the Genius radio frequency microneedling, because it can tell you how much energy the skin actually absorbs
Mhm.
versus just having a number of times that you fired the device.
Right. Or like a setting as far as whatever your radio frequency energy is or something like that, but it actually is recording what's being delivered and fully delivered, which is
Yes.
nice. So I do prefer that one over some of the others. Do I get really good results with Morpheus 8? Absolutely, I do. So it's not that I'm like knocking anyone's device, but I mean, there's tons of devices out there. I mean, there's like Scarlett, there's Vivace, there's whatever. There's tons of them at this point. But the reason why I like Genius the best is because I can see that what it is that I'm actually delivering, which ultimately I feel like is going to give a better result as far as revolumization goes. If you're just looking for, I don't want to say injury, but controlled injury, I think any of them do the job just great. And that's why the better you understand that technology, I think that you're still going to get great results with any of those devices.
Agreed.
Awesome. I hope that clears up that question. All right. So we are going to be talking summer skincare ingredient must-haves, aesthetic treatments to try or avoid, and we have a lightning round game that we call SPFS or Skin SOS. So grab your iced coffee and your mineral sunscreen and let's get into it. So I just want to start out with like a simple skincare routine. What do you have as like your must-haves in summertime?
In the summertime, well, all year, SPF is number one.
Mhm.
So, there is some misconception, as I hear it all day. Do you wear a daily sunscreen? Usually in the summer. Well, you need it all year. So SPF is number one every day. If you're just going to the grocery store and back, you need sunscreen. So
Mhm.
that daily sun exposure adds up over time. It makes a difference. So not just when the sun's out all year long.
So that's like your non-negotiable, right?
It's
Like,
non-negotiable.
yeah.
I
Oh,
I don't I don't get dressed without putting sunscreen on.
perfect. Okay,
So
cool.
sunscreen every day. In the summertime, definitely need an antioxidant, so vitamin C. There are a lot of different antioxidants on the market. Some are better than others, and not all vitamin C's are created equal. So you got to do some homework there. I love alpha hydroxy acids,
Mhm.
so I generally use those all year long. I may
Do you
use
generally have that in your cleanser, or would you rather something different?
all of it.
All of it? Okay, great.
So I do dial that back a little bit in the wintertime just because things are more dry.
Yes.
So you don't want to get your skin overly dry. So sometimes I do have to back off a little bit in the wintertime. But otherwise, I love an acid cleanser. I love an acid toner or a serum. And there are a lot of different ones on the market. So we can get into specifics. But love alpha hydroxy acids.
Awesome. Cool. Me too, because I feel like in general, I'm just an oily person. And one, it helps kind of cut down on that. But it also, I feel like I don't have to use as strong like retinols and stuff like that when I'm doing it.
It does help them work better, and if you are more oily skin prone, then that's you probably are looking more towards a beta hydroxy acid, like a
Mhm. Yeah.
salicylic acid,
Yeah. Yeah.
is usually more helpful for the oily skin.
Yeah. So my I always use a cleanser that has AHAs and BHAs just because of the fact that I want to be able to exfoliate, but also tone down that oiliness, like I said.
Yep.
Um, so okay, so we got vitamin C's, we got alpha hydroxy acids, and we got SPF.
And we have retinoids.
Yes, and we have our retinoids. So, and you're okay with those all year too, right?
I use retinoids all summer. As long as you're wearing your SPF, reapplying, using your sun protective measures. So keep a hat on, keep the sunglasses on, stay in the shade as much as possible. I rock them all year long. I mean,
Yeah.
they go to the beach with me. So
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay, cool. Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, hat, sunglasses, sunscreen. That's pretty much, I don't want to say your go-to, but there are people that are very into the UPF rated clothing and stuff like that too, which is amazing. I am horrible when it comes to doing that. And I work in this industry. Do I know that I should be protecting more of my skin other than just my face? Yes. Do I put sunscreen on my whole body when it's going to be exposed? Yes, I do. But I am not the best about doing like the UPF rated clothing and reapplying sunscreen on my body throughout the day, other than going to the beach or the pool
yeah.
or something like that.
Well, and that's I have gotten better at the UPF clothing, and the UPF clothing has gotten better.
Right. Yeah.
So
Back in the day it was.
on the farm, I'm outside all day,
Mhm.
and it's dirty.
Right.
So the last thing I want to do is grease myself down, play in the dirt, put some more grease on it,
Right.
go roll in the dirt again. I mean, that's not. It's
Yeah.
hard to scrub that stuff off at the end of the day.
Oh, totally.
So it's way easier to put on a UPF shirt and pants and then just take it off. But
Very cool.
two of my favorite brands for the UPF clothing that don't get so hot. So I started with one of the originals. They make a lot of fishing shirts, Columbia, and some of their stuff has probably changed too. But those were super heavy for me years ago. And I love Solumbra and Coolabar. Those brands in particular are super light and breathable, and I don't um, want to crawl out of my skin with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. Sometimes you're just like sweating and it just feels greasy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Now you said obviously you do that when you're working outside, especially on the farm and everything. Now, do you adjust your skincare routine if you know you're going to be outside all day versus in the office?
If I know I'm going to be outside all day, I wear usually a higher SPF.
Okay.
So I'll put usually a 70 on in the morning if I know I'm going to be out all day, and then make sure to get my neck as far as that goes, because I've started to see some of the poikiloderma sun damage changes in the skin on my neck. So I want the hats are great, but especially ball caps, they don't cover that.
Right.
So
Exactly. People
get a
will
lot
ask
of
all
sun
the
damage right
time
there. So
when they come in for treatments, and I'm like, you can't be wearing that hat. You need like a hat with a brim.
the bigger the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into the clinic, though, do you tend to be more aggressive with the acids, or it doesn't matter because um, your regimen is pretty solid at
It's
this
pretty
point?
solid.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, are there any like product types or specific ingredients that you avoid in the summer or tell people to avoid in the summer completely?
Mm, not in particular, not as long as they're wearing their sunscreen and staying protected. Taking it one step further, I have more issue, especially with people with recurrent skin cancers, with some of the pharmaceuticals that they take, some of the medicine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Like
the
the ones
things,
that cause like hypersensitivity.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, now they're
Now,
the ones that have to be super careful.
what I don't want to say which ones, but overall, I mean, what do you see the most of as far as pharmaceuticals that people are taking that they may not know cause hypersensitivity?
A big one is hydrochlorothiazide.
Oh, yes, that's right.
I see that rash so many times in the spring and the summer. A lot of times we'll go away in the winter, and then as soon as the sun comes back out, they're back in the same boat. So hydrochlorothiazide, they'll get a photosensitivity rash, but then it does increase sun sensitivity for your skin, so they get more sun damage. So
Right.
over time, they get more precancers and skin cancers. So I do try to stress and educate that they need to be careful in the sun.
Now, what's your thought? Because I do have a lot of dermatologists when I go into their offices and I do trainings, we'll talk about contraindications or things to avoid. What's your thoughts on when people are taking doxycycline? Because I feel like a lot of people are on doxycycline just in general, or they get one little breakout and their derm puts them on doxy. But, and some derms, not all. So you guys out there, don't yell at me, will say, well, it's just a low dose, they're fine.
If so, doxycycline, minocycline, if they're taking it once a day,
Hmm.
it has a really short half-life.
Hmm.
So I have them take it in the evening.
Oh, smart. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have them take it with dinner, because if you take doxycycline on an empty stomach or before you eat, it will make you nauseated.
Yes.
It's not, you
Yes.
do that one time and that's it. So you always take it with food. But if you're on a twice a day regimen, they are going to be more sun sensitive. So
Yes.
yeah, you'll get burned with doxycycline. You'll get blistered in the sun.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. So yeah, if they're taking it in the morning, definitely caution, and caution anyways. I'm sure it does increase sun
Course.
sensitivity, but it does have a short half-life. So if they'll take it at nighttime, that's helpful.
Okay. So that makes sense. That I didn't know, the nighttime thing.
Mhm.
Um, so that's a good point to make sure when people are already taking it or they don't want to come off of it for certain treatments, that's totally fine. But to take it at night is an awesome tip. So I love that. So let's really dive into some sunscreen a little bit, because I've heard everything from people as far as SPF 15 is okay. I don't need it if I'm just running errands, which you already said. Absolutely not. You're walking out of the house. What's the biggest SPF myth that you're dying to kind of debunk?
It causes cancer.
Yes. We just talked about that, I feel like, with, I think, Carissa, because people say that all the time. Or I have people that come in and say, I don't use it because it causes cancer. I mean,
I've
what do you have
never
to say
seen
to
a
that?
cancer caused by sunscreen.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. In 20 years, there you go,
20
people.
years.
Yeah.
Not
um,
yet.
Now, that being said, do you have a preference? Because I do. Do you have a preference between chemical and physical sunscreens?
I like physical sunscreens. I don't like the chemical sunscreens.
Okay, same, me too.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to just, so from my point of view, the way, because I like to describe everything as easily as possible for most people, because I feel like a lot of people, even, I don't want to say providers, but people that work in clinics, don't always have the best way of explaining people um, treatments, ingredients, stuff like that. So I try to make it almost like fail proof. So when I talk about physical sunscreens, I'm talking basically we're making a mirror essentially, and it physically bounces off of our skin to protect us from those rays. Now, are those chemical sunscreens, it's actually absorbing into that chemical, makes a chemical reaction and then bounces it back. So the reason why I don't like them, now your reason might be a little bit differently because I don't specifically work in dermatology. But the reason why I don't like them is generally because they create a little bit more heat as well. So if we're doing treatments, because we're doing a lot of treatments in our office, I usually want to minimize the heat for them. At the end of the day, the best sunscreen is going to be the one that you use, obviously. But that's the reason why I usually recommend to people, because of the fact that you are then holding on to that heat, causing a little bit more potential inflammation post treatment and pre treatment if we're trying to reduce some of that. But um, I've also heard that chemical sunscreens cause cancer. So the probability of that is so low
Yes.
comparatively to you not using sunscreen.
Correct.
Okay. So what's
Yes.
your reason why you like a physical better?
Um, same reasons,
Right.
plus a couple more. The chemical sunscreens they take that UV radiation and turn it into heat. So
Mhm.
they are hotter. You sweat more. It's, the more heat I can dissipate when I'm out working, the better. When people complain about, or they're going to put sunscreen on and then they're going to sweat and it gets in their eyes and then it stings and they can't see, if you will stick with a mineral sunscreen, that happens less.
Mhm.
So the chemicals are usually, I can't wear chemical sunscreens around my eyes because they're super sensitive. They'll water and then I'm wiped everything off. And you're right. So there's the chemical sunscreen that's listed on the bottle. And then when they're exposed to, again, UV radiation, those ingredients are broken down into kind of subparticles. So they're converted into other chemicals. So even if you don't have an allergy to what's listed on the bottom, you might have an allergy to what it's broken down into when you expose it to the sun.
Nice.
So I've seen that too. And the mineral sunscreens, I haven't had that problem with.
Nice. Now, what specific ingredients should they be looking for that you like?
Titanium and zinc
Mhm.
are the two physical blocks of the sun that I like, and you can find them that are just zinc a lot of times, but a lot of times they're together. So titanium and zinc are the mineral blockers that I recommend.
Nice. Now, as far as SPF number wise, do you care as long as they're using one? Or, I mean, like you said, when you're going outside and you're there for a full day, you like to use a 70. Now, can you just break down that a little bit as far as what the number means? And because I always tell people minimum 30, and then obviously they can go up from there if they're going to be out in the sun. But why does the number matter?
The number matters as far as the percentage of the UV rays that it's blocking, and there's not a huge difference between a 30 SPF and a 70 SPF as far as percentage, but it does seem to last a little bit longer as an SPF 70. So the numbers that are on there, the way we apply them in practice is not the way they apply them in the lab when they test them.
Right.
So they put them on a lot thicker.
Right. Like I've heard like a tablespoon. No one's doing that.
No one's doing that.
Right.
So, while we may be putting on an SPF 30, maybe we're getting a 15, hopefully. But that's again why reapplication is super important. But I do so at SPF 30 for daily wear minimum.
Mhm.
And there are some really nice 50s and 60s out
Oh,
just over the
totally.
counter now. So I mean, the sunscreens have come a long way in the last 10 years as far as like cosmetic elegance and how they feel and how they look on the skin.
Like what
And
recently, one of the ones that I've been liking as far as I don't want to say lower end because it's not lower end, but like the over the counter type
yeah,
ones. Elta MD is like amazing
Elta MD's
comparatively.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comparatively to some of those other brands. Um, I mean, I do prefer as far as what I wear every single day. I use Neova. They have a DNA repair enzyme everyday one, and it's a 44. And I get very like greasy and oily, and that one is just like a nice, almost like a regular moisturizer. So you don't get that like greasy sunscreen feeling from it. So that one I wear every single day. Slightly more expensive than the Elta MD, but not much, you know.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a favorite SPF that you use?
SPF 50, did you say?
SPF that you use?
Yeah, love with Color Science makes one called Flex.
Okay. So I
Um,
assume that's a tinted, right?
it's that one is tinted.
Yeah.
And they've got various shades. I think there is a clear one, but theirs are mineral based,
Mhm.
and SPF 50.
Awesome.
So most people in our office are wearing those as foundation, especially for daily wear if you don't need a lot of coverage.
Yeah. Nice.
La Roche makes great sunscreens.
Yeah, I've heard a
Eucerin
lot of good things
has
about them.
Eucerin has changed their whole game. So Eucerin's got some really nice sunscreens on the market now, in addition to their hyaluronic acid system. So
Really?
Eucerin,
That's good
they
to know because
do.
I normally tell people don't buy. So I'm glad
Eucerin,
that they've changed stuff
they
now.
have come
The
a
only
long
thing
way.
that I ever said to use was like post CO2, like that, like the Eucerin like ointment that they
Aquaphor,
have.
sort of.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
love
that's good to know
Aquaphor.
that that's good to know that they've changed
They
some of
have, and they
their.
did some great clinical studies with the hyaluronic acid system. I'm gonna get you a goodie bag. I'm gonna mail you something.
I'll
It's
I'll
lovely.
take it. Or Eucerin can send one.
Yes, yes, Beiersdorf,
Right.
Andrew.
Now, as far as like the type of sunscreen, I know you said when you're outdoors all day, you tend to use like a 70, and that's because you feel like it lasts longer. Do you find that you're always using, I don't want to say always using a 70, but always using a higher SPF when you're outside versus just an everyday?
I do.
Okay.
I don't generally like I wouldn't wear a 70 to work necessarily. But if I'm out, if I'm at the lake, if I'm at the beach, I'm head to toe with a 70. I don't spray before I go out, like spray sunscreen. I will use the sprays for reapplication, but I will not use them for an initial. application.
Yeah.
So what I've read is if you have a spray SPF, you have to put it on 3 times before you get the actual number that's on the bottle. So
Interesting.
that means spray it on, rub it in, spray
Yeah.
it on, rub
Right
it
on.
in.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that
I
either.
see a lot of sunburns with that too, because you just miss a lot of areas
Oh,
with the
totally.
sprays.
Yeah. I mean, I do like them because, like you said, there it's easy to reapply. But yeah, same. I don't use that as my first application. I'll put on like the actual lotion when I'm at home, and then when I get to wherever I'm going, I'll do my spray and then reapply, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you're going to the beach and there's sand and stuff like that, it's very difficult to be reapplying the lotion because
Yeah.
then it gets everywhere. But as far as like, what about if it's like a sunny day versus a not sunny day?
I'm still wearing the 70 because I don't, and sometimes I tear out and I plan on being out there 15, 30 minutes and then it's 4 hours later,
Right. Well, but like you said, like that it's part of that non-negotiable because I have people that come into the office all the time that tend to say, "Oh, well, it's not sunny out or it's raining. You want me to wear SPF today anyway?" Yeah, I want you to wear SPF anyway.
Yes. That's it. Daily sun exposure is what gets most of us, and in the long run, it's why we're spending so much time at the dermatologist when we're in our 80s. So it's a daily sunscreen. It keeps you out of hot water. You don't want to spend every 3 months with your dermatologist when you're 80. I promise.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, do you like because now they have stick sunscreens, they have little under eye ones, they have all different types now. Do you prefer one over the other?
Like you said, the best SPF is the one that you're going to use. I like the stick sunscreens for my kids just because they're pretty waxy and I feel like they cover and they stay
For a
stay
while.
well. There are some great ones that don't feel as heavy waxy, but whatever your preference is.
Nice. Now, as far as treatments to book or avoid in the summer, because I know we like you work in dermatology, I pretty much only work in aesthetics, but you do both. So that's why I feel like it's super important to have this conversation with you because you're seeing kind of from both sides of it, like the health wise and the aesthetic side of it. But not only like clinical type treatments like Mohs surgery and stuff like that, but are there things that you should be that you tell patients absolutely do not do this treatment, we're going to wait versus yes, let's do this?
IPL is probably the biggest scary one in the summertime.
I agree.
So IPL is intense pulse light. It is great technology. It can help with redness. It can help with brown spots. It can help with collagen production. Just good maintenance, healthy maintenance for your skin. So love IPL. But if somebody's going to get burned, it's usually IPL, and it's usually summertime.
Yeah.
So even if you don't feel like you've had that much sun exposure, there's a difference in the intensity during the summer. So we do a whole lot less. So when people say it's laser season, I think that's mostly speaking to IPL or BBL technology.
Now, what about like CO2 and those laser resurfacing treatments? I mean, I know that you can do them all year round, quote unquote, but I think that there comes a time when like you really just have to know your patient and know how they're going to treat themselves. Um,
Exactly.
like I'm pretty much a firm no when it comes to IPL because like you said, like I just like you don't always know the sun exposure aspect of it, especially quick run to the store, it's raining or something like that. But when it comes to something that's an ablative laser, I normally pick and choose my patient because I'm like, are they going to follow instructions? Are they going to do this, whatever?
We
Um,
we do the same thing. So
okay,
it is, yeah, gathering information in the consultation. um it's going to be a patient that you have a good history with, and that they're compliant with their skincare and they're compliant with their sunscreen, and they know how important it is, and they're not going to have their CO2 and then head to Florida for the weekend.
right.
Yeah.
Which they
So it,
do
it
all.
is pick your patient, educate. We do those treatments all year long, and we do resurfacing treatments all year long, but we definitely pick our patients. We don't.
Totally.
Yeah.
What do you have like a go-to summer treatment that you love doing in the summer?
Mm, love the 1927 resurfacing. So we rock that one all year long.
Now,
Microneedling.
do you
Um,
care with the 1927? Do you care if people got sun exposure the day before, the day after?
If they're sunburned, we won't treat them.
Mhm.
If they're super tan, we're not going to treat them aggressively.
Okay.
And
Mild.
yeah, we tell them, 2 weeks out of the sun, SPF.
Mhm.
And if they can be compliant with that, then we'll go ahead.
Awesome. All right. And then you said microneedling.
Microneedling, radio frequency microneedling we love during the summer. What else? Laser toning. We do all summer long.
Toning.
Vascular treatments as long as they're
I've
not
talked
sunburned.
about laser toning, I think, every episode so far. It's one of my favorite treatments, and I feel
Mine
like it's
too.
so underrated.
It is underrated.
I actually, mark my words, I'm going to have a full episode dedicated to laser toning because
Fun.
I literally have talked about it every single episode.
It is underrated though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was talking with Miranda last time, and we mentioned laser toning, and we said it's basically like almost like brushing your teeth, where that's like your workout, you're at home kind of thing. I know you're not doing laser toning at home, but it's something that you could do consistently. And I really feel like if you start when you're younger doing laser toning, you don't have to do all these other treatments when you get older.
Agreed. And same with some IPL. They've done some great studies with IPL and BBL technology showing that those treatments actually help lengthen the telomeres in the skin.
Mhm.
So it's actually turning back the clock.
Yeah.
And I've definitely seen a reduction in precancers and skin cancers with IPL and laser resurfacing.
Yeah, laser resurfacing especially, I feel like a lot of derm offices recommend that more and more now, just because you're physically getting rid of those cells.
Yeah. Well, and some of the wavelengths do have FDA indications for precancers, but there was
Right.
a study that just came out recently that showed if a person has had one fractional sublative resurfacing treatment, they are half as likely to develop a keratinocyte cancer as somebody who has never had a sublative resurfacing treatment. So that's pretty good statistics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, considering you get a sunburn and then I forget the percentage, I'm sure you know because you work in derm. How much more likely are you once you hit 5 sunburns in your life?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like it's like 70% higher.
It was,
that.
yeah, it's like 60 to 70%. And same with tanning bed use before the age of 30. Yeah, me too. Yeah, we got a lot of making up to do.
I know. Well, and that's why I feel like it's so nice. Although now that being said, I mean, I know you don't, but when you're doing treatments, do you encourage people to do more body treatments as well?
We do a lot of off-face treatments
Mhm.
for sure.
With
Um,
IPL, a 1927, or kind of like everything?
kind of like everything.
Right.
A lot more 1927 because it's not aggressive. It
Yeah.
doesn't go super deep. So anything off the face doesn't heal super quickly. So you don't want something that's real aggressive. So love that. We have an erbium we do a lot of micro peels with.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So we do a lot of like full chest, full back peels, shins, forearms, helps with the age spots, macular keratoses. But again, just helps that skin be more healthy.
I did a really nice, I don't want to say series, but couple treatments on somebody's shins with a 1927. Oh, came out so nice.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. So what procedures do you like? Are there any that you, other than IPL, that if they come in, I don't want to say demanding it, but they really want it, are you like, absolutely not, we're waiting?
Chemical peels?
Chemical peels. Any particular kinds? It's all in general.
Anything that would be more medium depth peel.
Mhm.
So like 50% glycolic acid, we're not doing. TCA,
Okay.
we're not doing.
Okay. Are you fine with like when they include like the 30% glycolics in like a hydrofacial or something like that in the summer?
As long as they're wearing their sunscreen, yeah. But if we're not going to do a 30% and send them off to the beach.
Right, exactly. All right. So Speaking of all this kind of which one you would rather, we're going to get into our little game right now. SPF, yes, or Skin SOS. So I'm just going to throw out a product, a treatment, summer habit, summer trend that I've seen on like TikTok, things like that.
Some TikTok.
Right. And I just want to have you let us know if this is going to be derm approved or a total skin emergency. All right. So Botox right before vacation.
Sure.
All right. DIY face mask with lemon juice.
Let's not.
Okay. Vitamin C right before the beach.
Vitamin C, yeah.
Okay. Getting a base tan or versus a spray tan.
Spray tan.
Okay. Expired sunscreen.
No.
No?
Always check the expiration date. That's real.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that, I mean, side note on this, guys. I always feel like that. How are you getting expired sunscreen? Shouldn't you be using it? So, I mean, because they
Yeah,
all like some
no,
people will
yeah, a
say,
bottle of
"Oh, just
sunscreen
this
shouldn't.
season." Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you're going to be in the sun, a bottle of sunscreen shouldn't make it through the weekend.
Okay. Exactly. Microneedling and retinol combo in the summer.
Depends on the person. I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Laser hair removal in July.
Nope.
No. Okay. See,
Ouch.
all you people around here. I'm all about laser hair removal, especially, yes, quote unquote, all year round, but you have
Nobody
that's
wants a
one of
burn
those
bikini
ones.
line.
Exactly. We
Mm-mm.
need to know our patient. What about the powder SPFs at the pool?
Yeah, you have to apply them till you can see them on the skin. But I do like the powder sunscreens for reapplication and for scalps.
All right. Slugging with Vaseline before the beach.
Why?
I
No.
know. I was like seeing some of these on TikTok. I was like, who is coming up with these? Let's see. Let's see. Layering 3 different exfoliants. Like a I guess physical
I
and
gotcha.
a
Negative.
yeah.
Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
I
killing your
agree.
barrier. Yeah.
I know. Hydrofacial right before the day before a big outdoor event.
No, negative.
No. How many days would you rather them wait?
A week would be good.
Okay. All right. Not reapplying because I didn't get wet.
Myth.
One of my favorite new ones, beef tallow.
Beef tallow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gross.
I I don't understand what it's gonna do in the summertime other than like
I don't know what it's going to do in the
like
wintertime. Like, I
well
don't.
that too, but like that's like bacon grease.
That's gross.
Like and then essential oils for a natural SPF.
No.
Okay. I mean, I have a lot more that I found, but I was like, I couldn't believe some of these. So
Well, and yeah, and if you get it on TikTok, they're trying to sell you something. So
totally. I mean, I feel like a lot of the people on TikTok in general have no experience and they're just influencers. There are some, yes, that are obviously in the industry, but I don't think that the majority of them, when they're saying like, I used this right before whatever and it worked, I don't know where they're getting their information from.
I don't either, and I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I will though ask about SPF and a lip balm. Is that enough lip protection?
Oh man. Same thing. At least an SPF 30. So lips are an underserved area in the SPF world.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
we see a lot of precancers and skin cancers on lips, and that's not a place you really want to have surgery. So need to make sure that your chapstick, lip gloss, lipstick has SPF in it. Um, if it doesn't, then you're essentially putting bacon grease or baby oil or whatever on. You're just magnifying it.
Yeah. I have like one little hyperpigmented spot on my lip.
I do too.
And every time I go to the dermatologist to get a check, I'm like, is it fine? Is it okay? And they're like, yeah, it looks fine.
Yeah, we see a lot of freckles there. We get a lot of sun damage. So
Yeah.
I know SPF for lips.
Yeah. Now, bonus round for our game. What's one trend that you've seen that makes you cringe or like want to scream every single time you see it?
Beef tallow.
Yeah, I agree. I like,
Castor oil is getting me.
yeah, I see that.
What
I mean, what do
else?
you tell them when they come in? Do they, I mean,
Uh,
when people
I
come
try
in
to
and they,
redirect.
yeah,
I try to give them something that is clinically backed as an alternative. Maybe try this.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. Castor oil. These little teenagers that are coming in with a 14-step skincare routine,
right?
killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just read a book on the cosmetic industry, and their marketing is targeting these
The
preteens
younger
and
kid.
kids. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Speaking of, I guess, as far as the younger kids go, I mean, I know that we have, like, I feel like the people that are having kids now, they're all my age. So they're millennials. They're wanting to take care of their skin a little bit more. So they kind of allow their kids to have more of a regimen. But I don't want to say less is more, but what would you recommend for children's, especially summer regimen?
Yeah. They don't need a multi-step routine. So if they're wanting a skincare routine, they need just a gentle cleanser.
Hmm.
We don't need anything with an active ingredient other than an SPF if they're going to be out for a long period of time. So basic moisturizer, CeraVe, Cetaphil, these are great products. They don't need a toner. They don't need a retinoid. They don't need a retinol. They don't need active ingredients at that age.
Yeah. What what age do you think they should kind of start or potentially
Um,
start?
if we start to get a little acne,
Hmm.
start to see some comedones, blackheads, then may incorporate like a benzoyl peroxide cleanser or a benzoyl peroxide leave-on to help with that if they need it. If they do start getting some acne, then maybe adding a retinol or a retinoid, something like Differin that used to be prescription, but now it's available over the counter as an acne treatment. Something like that would be fine, but really not until they start to have problems with their skin.
Right.
If there's not a problem, you don't have to fix anything.
I agree. Now, heading back to some farm stuff, when we're doing stuff outside, do you have a rule as far as how often you should be reapplying, or I don't want to say not go outside, but like if you get a sunburn or something like that, obviously you can't skip going outside because you have animals that depend on you. So when people are overexposed in general, what should they be doing when they go outside if they can't avoid not going outside?
Cover up.
Cover up. And
Yep.
that's with that UPF clothing, ideally,
That's
right?
yep. It's sleeves and pants and a big hat.
Okay. What about kids in the summer that have already gotten their quote unquote base burn? Uh, Now I've burned and now I can go outside because now I'm tan.
There is no such thing as a healthy tan. Melanin production is our skin's reaction to UV radiation. So these UV rays are UV radiation. So the radiation is radiation. I mean, who
Right.
wants to? I mean, we're not going to the nuclear plant, unprotected. So the sun, that radiation, is what changes the DNA in our skin cells that make them cancerous. So that there's no such thing as a healthy tan.
I agree. Practical treatment schedules, especially for people who spend time outdoors, or whether it's they're taking care of animals on a farm, they like hiking, outdoor sports, tennis, whatever. What type of treatment schedule do you kind of like for them? I know we talked about microneedling, certain potential laser treatments, stuff like that, but how often would you have them come back? Like, are some of those treatments you can do every 2 to 4 weeks. So it really depends on how aggressive they want to be. But do you kind of adjust your schedule?
I do. So for somebody, like my repeat pre-cancer and skin cancer offenders, like if I can get them to do it, I like them to have like 2 IPL or VBL treatments a year and
Yeah.
2 resurfacing treatments a year.
Mhm. Nice. Now, speaking of, how would you set those patients up for success if they want like a glow up before a summer wedding?
And then you can kind of combo those treatments too. So you can do IPL or BBL plus a resurfacing on the same day if they want to.
Mhm.
Um, But otherwise, I have them do their resurfacing about a month before.
Okay, whatever
Give their
event.
skin, yeah, give their skin time to heal, and really get that pretty glow.
Nice. Awesome. Now, what about darker skin types or just patients that are more prone to like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or anything like that? Is there certain things you kind of tell them to avoid versus our lighter skin types?
Oh man, hyperpigmentation is a tricky one. Anything that causes inflammation in the skin, we want them to avoid. So I don't like mechanical exfoliants. So anything gritty, I tell them to avoid. Excess heat if possible. So those are the main things. I don't generally like IPL on those skin types.
Yeah, same.
And have to be real careful with what acids you put on and kind of step up any acid treatments also.
Nice. Yeah, because I feel like that's one thing too. I mean, I have some darker skin types that come in and they'll say, I don't really get tan because I'm already dark. And I'm like, you're still getting sun exposure.
Yeah.
There's actually one guy I've been doing laser hair removal on his beard because he gets a lot of ingrown hairs and he never used a sunscreen before. And I was like, you have to, especially right now, because I'm gonna stress out. And I still stress out when he comes in, because obviously as we treat and there's less hair and that hair gets finer, we want to increase our energy. So there's always a risk of hypopigmentation with him. So I always like to make sure, one, everybody should be protecting their skin regardless, but especially our darker skin types that don't quote unquote burn at all. So we want to make sure that everyone's doing their due diligence and taking care of their skin properly, because I did read that African Americans are the highest rate of skin cancer in the United States. And to my knowledge, that's because they don't think that they can get sun damage because they don't burn.
Absolutely. And sunscreens are kind of more difficult for darker skin types too. So it's hard for them to find an SPF that
Right.
doesn't,
That's nice.
yeah, that doesn't change, doesn't look different on their skin.
Yeah, like that doesn't give like that like white kind of
Yeah.
cast. There are a few that I've come across that I've really liked. Again, that Neova Everyday is really nice. They do now have, which I haven't tried them yet. I really want to buy one and just see the like gel kind of SPFs.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
I have seen those.
Have you used any at all or no?
Neutrogena has it's one called Hydro Boost.
Uh-huh.
That's an SPF 50.
Okay.
So that is super light. It has a lot of hyaluronic acid in it with that Hydro Boost line. La Roche, it's not a gel, but plays well with darker skin types. La Roche has one called Melt in Milk.
Mm-hmm.
That's an SPF 60.
Oh, that's nice.
That goes on really well.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like once people find one that looks good on their skin, that's when they start using it consistently.
Yeah.
Instead of just the copper tone and sun bum and stuff like that, which, as far as like, I don't want to say commercial brands, but like something that you could just pick up in CVS, like I do like a sun bum for going out in the beach, but there's other ones that I can't really tolerate on my face, I'll say.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And that's why I tend to like those more clinical brands, because they are kind of meant to be a little bit nicer on the skin, right?
For sure. They've come a long way.
Now, as far as how often people should be reapplying, what's your go-to?
Usually every 2 hours.
Okay.
If they have a history of dysplastic moles or precancers or skin cancers, then it's every 90 minutes.
Now, you were saying that lightweight hydrators like a hyaluronic acid is a must pretty much, right? In the summertime?
Hyaluronic acid is a nice moisturizer, and it does help kind of hold water and hold that moisture in the skin. So it's a humectant, so it attracts water. You need to you need to be hydrated if you're going to use hyaluronic acid, and it's better if applied to damp or moist skin.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, do you prefer, because they have those like larger molecule and then the smaller molecule ones? Do you care?
I've heard so much conflicting information about large versus small molecule. So I've heard, the large ones don't penetrate as well, and then I've heard the small ones are kind of pro-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a matter of finding one that plays well with your skin.
Mhm.
There's one, gosh, there's a couple that I like. But like I said, Eucerin has a really nice hyaluronic acid line out now with some good clinical research behind it. Higher end, Skin Better Science has
Mhm.
one called Lines. That is an injectable grade hyaluronic acid that is super nice. Do you have one that you
I
prefer?
mean, plain plain hyaluronic acid, I would say either is clinical hydrocool. It's super lightweight, and then Epicutis. Epicutis makes their lipid serum, which is a number of different things, but hyaluronic acid is one of those main ingredients, but it's also an anti-inflammatory, which is amazing. And I do love Epicutis lipid serum. I mean, pretty much all of their products I really enjoy. Even on me, their oil cleanser is actually really nice because I don't get oily. It's made with hinoki wood oil, and it like just draws out some of the excess
Yeah.
gunk that I have. But their lipid serum has, let me see if I can say it. That so that their anti-inflammatory ingredient is tetramethyl hexadecinol succinyl cysteine. I think that's it. And that's basically an anti-inflammatory. Um, and it just calms the skin down. So even like redness, sunburns, rashes, anything in the summertime too that looks like it hurts. I mean, yes, you can use it all year round, but it also has basically just like a hydrating aspect to it with that hyaluronic acid, and that is going to uh, keep the skin nice and hydrated with that calming of the redness too.
I don't
Uh,
think I've tried that one, but I don't think I've tried it long enough.
oh yeah, all right. I think I have some. I'll send you some. Now you get a care package too. Uh, but that being said, too, I mean, I've had people say they don't like using moisturizers in the summer because they get so humid, or it gets so humid out, and then it almost feels greasy. But I think that's why things like a hyaluronic acid is so important because, like you said, it's attracted to water. So, I mean, if it's attracting water and kind of holding on to it, the humidity is not like a totally bad thing, right?
Right.
Um, all right. I had a couple listener questions. I had posted on Instagram the other day a couple questions on what people kind of want to do for the summertime. The one was, is it okay to have Botox right before a vacation and flying?
I say yes.
Yeah. Now, do you think that altitude really has anything to do
No,
the effectiveness?
I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. And then we already talked about that one, but somebody had asked if they can stop SPF indoors. So if they're going to be inside all day.
If you're not going to leave the house, then you don't have to wear SPF. If you're not
Yeah.
going to go outside and I
But
don't.
like so and it's fine, but like what about the naysayers that are saying, "Well, but you're still getting indirect UVA UVB because the windows and all
Uh,
that." I know.
I know. I've heard this and I've talked about it with patients, and there's got to be a line somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, did I put some on today? Yes, I did, but I'm also going to leave the house a little
Yeah,
later.
no, for sure. And I leave the house every day, so I put it on every day. Like I don't.
Right. So yeah, those were the two that I saw that I feel like everybody kind of has their own opinion about, but I do think that at the end of the day, SPF, put it on whenever you can. If it's in your makeup, amazing. That shouldn't be the only place that it's at.
Correct.
Um, if you can put it in a moisturizer, amazing. Like mine's in a moisturizer because of the fact that again, I get greasy, and if I'm going outside, like yesterday I mowed the lawn, I put on a better one, and I wore a hat and sunglasses. And I had like my big, I call it a farmer hat, but a big brim hat.
They're great.
Yeah, because I was outside, and I mean, granted I had my shirt off, so I definitely was still exposed, but I was only outside for
I
an
was gonna
hour
say
and
you
a
had
half.
your shirt off but hat on.
Well, so that's the other thing. So there's going to be some people, and I'm not saying that everything I do is right, because it's definitely not.
Nobody's perfect.
Right,
So
exactly. Well, so
yeah.
that's one thing too that I actually have on my list to ask you. I'm Italian. I like a little bit of color. You're gonna get a little bit of color regardless, even if you wear SPF. So I tell people
Even
that all the time, because they say, I want to get a little bit of a tan. And I'm like, I just don't want you laying outside.
yeah. And especially unprotected.
Right. Oh,
Like
yeah,
we need
totally.
a little bit of a screen.
Right. So that's why, like, I did put sunscreen on my whole body, but that's probably a skincare mistake that I make even as a pro. Is there something, because I love a good confessional moment. Is there one skincare mistake that you've made even as a pro and doing this 20 years now?
Oh, well, like embarrassing?
I don't want to say embarrassing, but like just something that I don't like you yell at patients for.
Oh, yeah, well, sunburns are one thing. I've definitely had some good ones. And they're embarrassing when you work in dermatology and you go in and you're sunburned.
Totally,
So
I'm
I
sure.
have slipped up. But then I don't know, one time I had a 1927 resurfacing and got up the next morning and put on a product that had lactic acid and salicylic acid
No.
in it.
Oh, that probably wasn't the
That
most
that that was a nice rash. It was good. That was
right.
pretty. Though.
Yeah, I actually similar to that story. My skin holds up pretty well to pretty much any treatment
Mine too.
product. Like I can pretty much do whatever. And I was trying out some new products. I always use pretty much is clinical active serum, which is like a retinol like, but it's plant based. So that's like my nighttime exfoliant pretty much. And the following night, I had used, they came out with these peel pads, which I'm obsessed with. And I used the peel pad, which was great. And then the following night, I had tried
This is
this.
what
It
we
was
do.
Yeah, it was. This is what we do. Literally, we try it all the time. The following night, I used it was a 1% tretinoin from Obagi, and I woke up with actually a blister like underneath my.
Oh,
I had like burned myself.
wow.
That was the only time that anything like that's happened, though.
Yeah.
Because usually, I mean, I won't do the same thing obviously on the same night. Like I won't use like active serum and a peel pad, or I won't use like a obviously I won't do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, my skin will recover. It's not a big deal. And yep, got a blister.
Wow.
And I actually had to, I like stopped everything and had
That's
to let
it.
that heal.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that's, we do try all the things. So, sometimes you end up with the wrong combination and then you spend 2 weeks trying to get back to where you were. So
Uh, Now we're coming to a close, but where can people follow you, book with you if they just want skin that's just as like farm strong and flawless as yours?
I am on Instagram. It's Janet McLanahan.
Okay.
And I am in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Skin Wellness Center.
And you've been there for this is your 20-year anniversary, right?
Just this month made 20 years.
This month too. Oh wow.
Same clinic.
Oh, and then what do you do there? Everything?
Everything. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I'm a physician assistant. So I'm like 60, 40, 70, 30 medical to cosmetic, but we have a strong clinical team and a strong cosmetic team. So we've got an RN, estheticians, nurse practitioners, and myself that can um, do about anything you need.
Yeah. And you can also follow their office on Instagram too. They have a very funny Instagram.
Yeah, they do a good job. They're super cute.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. You are
Thank
one of my
you.
absolute favorites. So I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in today with Janet and I. If any of you have questions about this or any other episode, log on to theandrewaesthetic.com to submit a question, request a topic, read more blog posts, and a lot more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We love all of that. And until next time, wear your SPF. Don't forget your neck and chest, and we'll see you soon.